Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So I got the after lunch time, right? So I'll see if I can be fairly high energy on this. I was telling a couple of folks out in the hall, I'm really excited to be here. I have had a long time dream of playing a role in sports analytics. So the fact that there is now conferences dedicated to sports analytics, I think is very encouraging, and I think you guys have done a great job here with this conference. I don't really have all that many slides. What I'd like to do today is tell you a little bit about the recruiting analytics that we've developed in the FIT score and answer any questions you may have about that. And then I'd like to talk, do we have a number of students in the room? Yeah, so talk a little bit about some of the careers in sports analytics as well. And even if you're not a student, you may be looking to hire folks in these fields too. So hopefully a little bit of something for everyone in that. But I founded a company that provides predictive analytics for sports, and our mission is pretty simple. We want to help teams win by using our patented algorithms to produce analytics that help them win. And we've selected the college sports market as our target market, and our goal really is to be the money ball of college athletics. So, any entrepreneurs or wannabe entrepreneurs in the audience? Yeah. So when you're an entrepreneur, you need to solve a problem, right? It's great to do research. It's great to identify, ways to help teams. But if you really want to make money, you need to be able to solve a problem. And we felt like after we looked at this, one of the problems that existed was with recruiting, with college athlete recruiting. There's a lot of recruits out there. They want to play at the next level. Many of them want to get a scholarship. The coaches, they have a mandate to win. It's pretty simple. So how do we create a way for the coaches to find the recruits that best fit their team? How can they identify them, and how can they retain those recruits? And when we look at recruiting by the numbers, there's almost 500,000 student athletes, there's 19,000 NCAA teams. But what we saw, we did some research, and 40% of the college student athletes said they really weren't satisfied with their school choice in the last NCAA survey. And in 2016, 546 of the D1 men's team basketball players transferred, which I think was about 12%. And the cost of recruiting has doubled. For D1 men's teams, that has doubled in the past decade. So we're spending more money on it, but is it really more effective? And then, of course, if the wrong choice is made, it's expensive for both sides of that equation. It's hard for the student athlete. They've lost opportunity cost, and it's expensive for the coaches and the schools. So we have developed a scoutSMART FIT score to facilitate and improve the efficiency and effectiveness of college athlete recruiting, to help coaches find these student athletes using analytics. And I don't know if many of you were in the last session with Coach Hoddle, but I wish I had more Coach Hoddles of the world, because that's the bigger challenge, right, is getting these coaches to really embrace and use analytics and to demonstrate the benefit to them. So there's 3 key dimensions in our scoutSMART FIT score, and our initial sport is football, and we're now working on basketball analytics. We've had several basketball coaches come to us and express interest, and one of those is Georgia Tech, which is right down the street from us, and we're very fortunate that they are very innovative coaches who are interested in this. So we're always looking at other good indicators, other good data points, but we kind of wanted to start fairly simple, and we came up with 3 major data points for the FIT score. And the first one is based on the high school statistics for the student athlete. Those are put through some parameters in our software. The next one is more involved, and it's a skills rating. And what we heard from coaches is that stats don't tell the whole story about a student athlete. You're a lot more than just your statistical performance. And they don't want to bet their analysis on just statistics. So what we did was we brought together an NFL scout who had been doing scouting at the college level and at the professional level for more than 20 years. And some people who are very good at algorithms, but they didn't really understand sports, and our software developers. And we looked at 30 years worth of data. And we did analysis to identify what are the best predictors of performance by position from high school to college to the NFL. And so we still allow the coach to go in and do a skill rating based on observing that student athlete, practice, film, game time, camps, combines, whatever it may be. But there's a lot of math behind it. The coach doesn't really have to be concerned with the math behind it, but there is a lot of math behind it to say these are the skills that are most important for that position. Now the coach can change that. They can customize it. So I always give the local example for me. I'm from Atlanta, so I give the local example. Georgia Tech football runs the option. So they are looking for a different skill set in a quarterback than University of Georgia, who does a lot of passing. So if Paul Johnson's staff wants to go in and change the skills that are important to them for a quarterback, they can do that, and the algorithm will recalculate it. But the defaults are set based on a pretty in-depth analysis of what skills are most important. For example, quarterbacks, no surprise. What do you guys think might be the more subjective skill for a quarterback? Not a stat, but a more subjective skill for a quarterback.
Leadership.
Being able to keep track of all the plays.
Yep. Game management. It's kind of the combination of the two things you're saying. Game management was the number one skill that we found for a quarterback that predicted performance. And then the third data point is academic scores. So I realize for many schools it may just be that they can get into the school, but the Ivy League schools have expressed interest in using this, and so that academic score is very important for them. And then the coaches, not only can they customize how they do their skill ratings, they can customize which of these three buckets are most important to them. So Yale, when they use it, they put heavier weight on academic scores. Another school might put more weight on stats or skill score. Questions? This is kind of the engine behind coming up with the FIT score.
Is this the end of the talk questions, or is this the...
Yeah, well, I've got a couple more slides, but feel free to ask questions.
No, I end the talk questions.
Okay.
How do you feel like these scores will change for different sports?
Yeah. So we're now working on basketball, and the basketball coaches seem to value the stats a little bit more, and there's a lot of camps that they go to, so we're getting a lot more statistical data for them. The skill ratings, what we're doing with basketball is a little more, I mean, there is machine learning here in terms of coming up with these skill ratings, but with basketball, we're almost trying to emulate, we're working with a coach who's been in the business for 30 years, we're almost trying to emulate his decision-making process of how he evaluates recruits through that skills analysis. The skills vary by sport, and of course, you know, the important stats are going to vary as well. But we would like to do this for all team sports at the collegiate level, men's and women's. So here's the coach gets access to their customized dashboard. Multiple coaches can use this. So if they want to compare, I mean, you know, part of this is we really just want coaches to have more data-driven discussions, right? So coaches can put their information into the system. They compare against other coaches. They can pull up a profile and look at the drill down into the underlying information, whether it be stats or other information about the recruit. And again, it's very much customized based on what they want to do. They can go in and search the database and find recruits that have a fit score for them based on what they said is important. Say I want to find recruits that have a fit score, quarterbacks in Florida that have a fit score of 5 or greater for my team. So it makes it more efficient for the coaches to filter through the data, get to the recruits they're really interested in, and then focus on those recruits.
Yeah, I missed it, but how do you come up with the skill rankings again?
So the parameters we did through regression analysis and identifying, weights of what skills are most important by position. But then either a scout, what we've done is we've gone in and we do some ourselves for the coaches to filter through, but the coach also goes in and does an evaluation themselves.
The coach has to grade them.
The coach has, it's not that they have to, they want to.
Right.
They
Whereas
really, we use.
Academics and the other ones you already have. So
That's right.
the one.
That's right.
So that's one where there's some subjectivity perhaps?
That is correct. And that's what we do is we combine both objective and subjective data points, which makes us a little bit unique. So as part of this, we've needed a lot of data from the student athletes. I mean, one of the challenges of this model is finding as many data points as we can get on the student athletes and trying to get, 17-year-old males to enter their profile. I don't know, it's a kind of hit and miss. So one of the things we've developed, and we just recently did this, and I actually hired a she's a soccer player at a local college in Atlanta, math and stats major, and she's helped us with this, is to encourage the student athletes to participate and provide data. It's free for them, but to give them a fit score of the top 5 schools where they fit. What we hear from the student athletes is they're almost overwhelmed with kind of making that college choice, and this helps them kind of be a little more realistic and focused on where they might be able to get in and play. And we ask questions like geographic, how far away do you want to move, your major, how important is it that the school has your major that you're interested in? Do you want to play immediately? Are you willing to sit on the bench? Do you need financial aid? And then based on those questions and their fit score, we can tell them where they might realistically be able to play. And I know kids today, Twitter, it's a badge of honor to say how many offers you have. But we feel like really you just need the one right offer. So if we have a platform that helps the coaches and the student athletes more effectively and efficiently find each other, then everybody wins. Okay, so before I go into the talk a little bit, kind of shifting mindset a little bit, questions? Yes?
This isn't, I'm not sure if this is a question so much as almost a comment suggestion. This is more on the baseball side, actually.
Yeah.
But I had at one point spoken with students who were interested in becoming scouts, and the idea of using wearables, these are things like Modus Pro is doing one where it started with the sleeve tracking for pictures, or there are actually attachments you can get for the bat, so you can learn about swing mechanics.
Big great data points.
And my thought is that you could not just get those as data, but they actually have, like cell phone apps that are cumulative. So you could have a student provide the information on their own to do that. Now granted, you'd still want your scout to come in because obviously they can fabricate their own data, is my point.
Correct.
But
the quality of the data has got to be there, but still it's more data points
and
for
then,
us.
Or similarly, when I talked to these potential pro scouts, it was the idea of, well, you've already got a radar gun in your toolkit. You get one of these, Modus sleeves, you get one of these, bat tracking devices like Diamond Kinetics, and then when you do a workout session with the player, you actually can find out some of the things about their mechanics, and it's probably more important for the pros because they're doing things, there'd be more issues with, for instance, for a pitcher, is this guy setting himself up for injury?
Right.
But on the other hand, there may be, I know for some schools for baseball, for instance, they'll retrain, like Louisville's famous for this, they'll retrain their pitchers to all have similar mechanics. Well, if you find a guy who's already got mechanics that fits for Louisville, maybe Louisville is the right school for him.
No, and I like where you're going, I like that, and, you know, we think really this all starts.
So this is free advice.
Yeah, no, and thank you, we're very open to that. It's
Yeah.
early days in this field, right?
Yeah.
So we're very open to that, and, you know, kind of how I envision it, you know, sports science and these wearables has kind of opened the door for analytics really in sports. And so first I say thank you, and then, but I think it becomes a more integrated picture, just like you're discussing. So the more I look at my performance data, it tells me more the type of recruits I'm looking for, right? If they have certain skills and certain tendencies and certain characteristics, that data then feeds my recruiting database and how I want to attract the right recruits. And then the recruits I get at the collegiate level, let's face it, they're not all going to be outstanding athletes. So that's going to be very important as input into your analytics for game planning.
Yeah, well, also, though, because they would be collecting their own data, because they want to get recruited.
Yes,
They
it
then
puts it in their
provide you the
hands.
data,
Yeah.
and it skips a step for you where you don't have to go out and collect it, and it's just a question of going in and cross-checking it for all
The
intents and
quality of
purposes.
the data.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
okay.
and again, just the validity of the data,
Yes.
because I can
Yes.
absolutely see a 17-year-old going in and taking his own numbers to get into a good school. I mean, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it has to be.
Okay, maybe not you, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it has to be verified. You know what we found is kind of funny is that the kids will not lie about their GPA. I guess they know that is so easy for it to be verified, but they will stretch their height and weight. And you know, and the coach is like, unless they come here and I weighed them and measured them, I don't believe, you know, anything that's in your database. But they don't lie about their GPA. If it's low, it's low. They just put it in there. So I find that kind of fun and interesting.
And I'm sure it's doable for other sports. I just know
Yeah.
I'm more familiar with the wearables.
I think it is. We're doing some things with Georgia Tech basketball, and I'm pretty sure we could get the same kind. So thank you. Yeah, awesome.
Did I understand correctly, so with the student athletes that want to input their own data, that it's free for them?
That is
So that's interesting from a business model standpoint, because some of the other companies, it's the opposite.
It is.
You know,
It is.
the coaches, the colleges get the
Uh-huh.
information for free,
Yep.
the student athletes are the ones that paying.
That's right.
So yours is reversed?
We're reversing it.
Okay.
Yes.
And I have no stake in the game on my other, I'm just curious, why do you think that will be more, what was your rationale for kind of inversing the model?
Well, I think it's part of it is I'm not sure I want to compete with all these established firms that are out there doing this for the student athletes, right? Whereas the coaches, that's kind of greenfield right now, right? There's an opportunity there to start to build analytics platforms for them and the use of analytics. So that's really what we want to influence. We need the student athletes, but we really want to see these college programs. I mean, our goal is to really capture market share in the college sports analytics market. So it is different, and it's been interesting for someone who comes from a business background. We recently had to be approved as an NCAA scouting service, and that was a very interesting process. And I think we're probably one of the first analytics companies to do that, because the questions they were asking me, I'm like, I don't understand why I'm not giving you my patented algorithm to explain how we come up with this. So, but we got approved, so it's all good. Yeah.
So, when you were talking up there, it was all just NCAA Division I.
Yep.
Is your goal or plan to trickle down into other levels
Yes.
of NCAA?
Yes.
And then NAI,
Yes.
JUCO, all
Yes.
of those?
Yes, absolutely. We're setting up, it's a fairly software as a service model, so there's different levels of participation, so it's fairly affordable for all levels of colleges. Yes.
Building on that, then, it sounds like you would presumably have a JUCO market that would be interested in getting into an NCAA type school.
Yes, exactly. Why not, right? Because a lot of coaches are now looking for those JUCO transfers. Yeah, absolutely. And if you can help them mine those, then I think there's benefit to that. Anything else? Are you guys interested in hearing a little bit about a couple of the careers that I've observed in sports analytics for some of the students? Sure. And it's fairly broad. I mean, you know, there's a number of opportunities, and this is just from my perspective. You know, I don't work for a team. This is a startup company, so, you know, take it for what it's worth. But the first and foremost is a data analyst. And I have to tell you, whether it's in sports or anything else, there's just a lot of opportunities for data analysts right now. So strongly encourage that. Looks like most schools are offering degrees in data science. I have a data analyst. He's got an undergraduate degree from, he's about 5 years out of school, undergraduate degree from Georgia Tech, an engineering degree, and he just finished his master's in analytics. So that's a really nice combination for that job. But you know, there's a lot to it. You just heard us talking about some of that data validity. The data's got to be complete. It's got to be good quality data. It's constantly changing. There's a lot of data management and a lot of manipulation of the data that has to go on. And we're figuring out the best ways to visualize the data as well. The algorithm analysts, I tend to use those guys as consultants. Those are more PhD type folks who've had quite a bit of experience in this. So probably if you're just out of college, you're probably not going to fall into that kind of role. But certainly with all that's going on in machine learning and everything, there's some interesting roles there. Subject matter experts. So like I said, I hired an NFL scout when we did the football product, and we're working with a very experienced basketball coach. And you know, I think if you develop analytics, it's really, really important to keep the end user in mind. Coaches are generally not analytics experts, and whatever we do, we need to make sure we represent it in a way that they can relate to it and understand it and benefit from it. Software developers and testers, again, really could come from any field if you've got the aptitude and like to develop software. Product managers, somebody's got to really own this and bridge that gap between the coach and the folks who are doing the development and design, and really make sure we're taking something to market that's going to help the coaches. And then let's face it, social media is a big part of any business. So there's also the marketing and social media. I mean, I've hired interns to tweet before. You know, that's not unheard of. So those are just some of the different roles that I'm seeing right now. And so it covers a pretty good range of skills and opportunities. So questions on that? All right. Well, I'm 5 minutes ahead. Our monitor didn't even have to wave the flag. Is there anything else before we go to a break? Which I'm sure you guys don't object to going to break a couple of minutes early. Get ahead of, if there's any refreshments out there, we'll get first dibs, right? Awesome. Well, thank you. Thanks for being such a great class.